If you've been in the online art space for the past decade, then you may have stumbled upon these characters. They're from a series called Countdown to Countdown, an incredibly popular webcomic created by Velinxi, whose art in one way or another has triumphed in so many fandom spaces for over a decade. Countdown to Countdown started in 2015 when the creator was, I believe, in middle school, and it is gorgeous. The colors, the texturing, the video game-esque aesthetics, it's tasty. And something to know about it is that it stopped uploading, give or take, 6 years ago, at least in its former state. Its current state is a fully rebooted version of the comic, which utilizes more traditional panel work, a more efficient and still gorgeous coloring style, and a more clear sense of direction. This is a hard decision to make, to invest over 100 uploads into a story and realize that it needs changes, to take a break and start anew. And it can hurt, not just emotionally, but financially. But to see the new Countdown to Countdown when it came out was it was an experience. There was true excitement in witnessing what Velinxi could now have the capacity to create, unrestricted by her previous commitments, and with a fresh lens. And instead of being 100 uploads, it is over 600 pages long and still running. I was there when Velinxi talked about Countdown to Countdown rebooting. I watched the countdown. It was exciting to see someone rev up their passion again and reinvest into the story, the characters, the things that they care about. She committed to something and she is seeing it through. But Commitment and I are not friends. Oh, we're not even enemies, we're just begrudged acquaintances, where Commitment sees some and stays with them all their life. Commitment and I hang out at a mutual friend's place for a few hours and then promptly split. And I have got to find a way to stop doing that. In a similar but much more embarrassing fashion to Velinxi, I too love creating stories. My commitment to doing so, though, is not as rad as theirs. I gotta say. If you know anything about how I create stuff, it is in short bursts of pure obsession combined with long stretches of abandonment, with some comics that I'm not ever gonna go back to. And in all my hubris, I think that I can try and finish one of my creations outside of these short bursts of inspiration. You see, there's these characters I've had for a few years. No, not these ones too. Move out of the way, they get enough attention. Yes, those two. These characters are from a series I made called Reliquary, a story about a girl whose hunger is more sinister in nature than she once thought, and whose horrific encounters with a being far beyond her comprehension bathes her world in a new light. Basically, she meets up with her sleep paralysis demon. It's great, or it's horrible. I don't know what it's going to be, actually. I haven't done most of it. It's something I did for the webtoon comic contest last year. I even made a whole video about it, as you can see, and I've been very, very consistent about uploading after the contest ended. I obviously won everything, I passed with flying colors. The abandonment was for a reason, I promise. You see, I had this funny thing starting up that took over my life. Working a job. And it's not just that. Oh no. It also combined itself with the secondary fun task of finishing my school. So much school. The school component combined with all the adapting to my work and all that entails meant that I could not work on the comic while also doing that. Alright, I was not going to touch these characters again until one of these things stopped. This is not a healthy trifecta. There is no room for fun. And since graduating school was the closest goal I could reach to not have unhealthy trifecta energy, that meant that this comic could only start up again when I graduated. In January of 2026. And would you look at the time? 2025 was wild as a year, but for these characters, I think they're about ready to kill me. They've been standing outside my door for 9 months. I'm not even pregnant. Why are you here? And in my sincerest apology to them, I want to work on their series once more. Now, working on a comic is kind of a nightmare. It's a once-in-a-lifetime combination of attempting anatomy, perspective, coloring, line art, text, writing, paneling, publishing, and death. A rational person would have multiple people working on a project in separate roles. But I am not rational. In fact, I decided to put on every hat I have while making my stories. It's something I've been trying on and off. I dived into all my previous comics in the webtoon contest video, but I really want to sit down and draw something longer than 5 chapters, or my personal best of I think 19 chapters of that one comic. Anyways, the reason I'm doing this is because it's very hard for me to trust myself. I tend to doubt my memory, my competence, my skills on a very frequent basis in my life. Whenever I feel that I'm bad at a skill I want to do, or I don't like how I'm doing something at work, or I don't think a drawing is nice, a little part of my brain says that I'm inadequate, that I'm untrustworthy. So if I give up now, I'm at least making it so no one will be disappointed later. I think these thoughts are childhood trauma, and I really gotta stop letting them define me. Failure is not a bad thing. It's me learning my limits, pushing the boundaries of my discomfort. And it's not like any of my favorites haven't done the same thing I've done. In fact, some of my most beloved series have been on hiatus or have been stopped entirely. Candid Hearts, for example, ended early, and other series like Klimp's Kisses and Sable Curse have a lot of long, intermittent breaks between chapters. And you know what? It's not a big deal. Yes, I love their creations. Yes, they have lives outside of them. I have no qualms. I can enjoy the gorgeous colors of Candid Hearts, the tender messiness of Klimp's Kisses, and the incredible depth of the characters in Sable Curse. As they are. There is still brightness and joy from an uncompleted work. It's why serialized manga and weekly comics are so popular, because these stories still have something to say, even if they aren't quite finished yet, even if they don't ever finish, even if the creators wanted to finish them but couldn't. Side note, Sable Curse and Klimp's Kisses. Sable Curse is like my ideal story. Oh, it's everything that I like. Fantasy curses, rich worlds, deeply intertwined characters. Ooh, it's so good. God, I love Sable Curse. It's so good. I can't get over it. Terran being someone cursed to die, and that's how it shapes her cunning nature, social dramas, and a spooky rich town. Everybody showing their worst sides before softening and becoming true to themselves. I have an entire script written on it. Someone please tell me they want my webcomic rambles, because I will not shut up. Some of my fears about creating a comic, I'm gonna be honest, are in part because I too am a creature of intermittent month-long breaks. To create a piece of work that people resonate with, and then to have them be disappointed at the pauses and full stops of your comic, it's a little intimidating, especially because I've seen how comic creators on regular upload schedules can get burned out. Not surprising when you have to draw countless pages on a weekly basis, but also not that surprising that many do weekly comics even with that risk, because livelihoods are livelihoods. Getting the chance to share your story while also in the same breath being financially supported for it, to have people rally around what you've made. We grew up craving community and connection. Of course we want that. Whether this experimentation results in a finished comic or not, I think it'll be a good test to see how I handle boundaries. How do I set them with readers? How do I set them with myself? And it's also a good learning opportunity. How do I make this a habit? What are my favorite methods of drawing? What kind of stories do I like to tell? It's weird to work on characters that aren't Amy and Callum, mostly just because I find my main two very comfortable to draw, but my favorite stories are messy, intertwined dramas with multiple characters, not just two people in a lore-deprived void. Creating something meaningful from the mess is my hope too. Rohine and her sleep paralysis demon are a different route, but you know what? In a weird way, I think we're in the same trope as Amy Callum, solidly in the spooky girlfriend territory. The fish out of water feeling that you are somehow immoral by nature, that there is something wrong with you, but then having your perspective shift as you realize that it is not such an isolating thing to be who you are, that community can be more than you ever thought it was, and connections to people you long assumed would never care are possible, and they are fruitful. Even the people you've known for years have sides to them you may have not realized till now, and in kind relationships, it is enriching to make that effort to stay connected. It's scary to feel like you're being persecuted, that no matter what you do, how you change, how you adapt, you will always be seen as other. I've donated to these organizations as a way to combat that feeling a little bit, but even so, here I am, clutching my birth certificate and passport like they'll even care. You deserve the space to live freely and safely, as do others. Call your reps, donate, vote, volunteer locally. I have links in the top comment and description. But all of this is to say, this is all an experience I've definitely stuffed into Rohine's story. So, you know, maybe it'll shine through. Maybe. I am just gonna take it step by step, because this is a way for me to do just every niche art style I've wanted to try and weird storytelling methods I've picked up with little to no consequence. So what if I fail? Maybe the takeaway from this experiment will be that I'm really not as interested in this medium as I thought I was. Maybe I full pivot into a different way of telling my tales. Or maybe I can just make the story I've wanted to in the way that I've imagined. This is just me testing a hypothesis. It's not a say on my character, on how morally good I am. It is just an experiment. And if it doesn't go the way that I expect, then hey, I've learned something new. Thank you to my lovely patrons who got to watch this video early and see how my comic was made, the thoughts behind it, and some exclusive concept art. Cool. Donate your time or money in a way that you care about to a cause that you care about. Okay, cool. Bye.